joining us today for What's Your Why Wednesday. I'm Laura Brandao, and today I am joined with LeRoy Romero, the broker owner of Lotus Financial Network. All right, LeRoy, we all get into this industry mostly by accident, but we stay in the industry because it ties to our why. So please share with us, why do you stay connected and moving forward continually within the mortgage industry? What's your why?
I promise I won't cry on this.
You cry away, LeRoy. It's even go for it.
No, I love what you do for the industry. I think the biggest thing for me, the why and what drives me is just um, family. I think and I know that might be for a lot of people, but really it's my kiddos and making sure that they have the opportunities that we have here in America, right? So to be able to strive and go through, whether it's education or whether it's the military side of things, but they're really my why on what I do on everything I do.
I'll tell you, I interviewed Tom Mancuso a couple weeks ago, and he's a new father. And when I got on the call with him, the first thing I said to him was, congratulations, you're a new dad. And I said, my question is, how has your perspective in life changed now that you're a father? And he's like, I never would have believed that everything in my whole life now revolves around being a dad. And I said, that is for sure. So LeRoy, tell me with that, and I agree. It's one thing to say, yes, of course our families are our why, right? That's a given. We know that. But how do you look at the industry as that means to taking care of the family, and even tying your family into the families you serve, right? Like, family means so much. It's not just our biological family or our communities is our family, right? Our teams are our family. But how does all of this come together where you're also serving the families that you're helping?
I think, God, I love that. There's some really deep questions here. When I look at my own family and having, like, I'm a single dad, like, and I haven't always been, right? I had an amazing marriage. It just didn't, we just went our separate ways, and we have this amazing co-parenting relationship. And when I look at my kiddos, they got to see us struggle through that. And so, and the reason why I share that is because they also got to see their dad overcome some of those things and their mom overcome some of those things, but then they stayed the center and the focus of what it is that we do. And then they can see how we start our individual lives over those things. And that's tough for anybody to go through, let alone to have teenage kids go through that too, and changing of those things. And so, how I tie that through, obviously you talk about team and, with the families that we help and serve, I think it's just great, because if it's a refinance, it's a realignment of debt structure or how we can serve in that way, whether it's credit card payoff, stuff like that, or just a simple rate term. And then for those that are new coming into the home ownership part, right, or new families, it's cool because you get to kind of tie some of your stories about the first time you bought a house or the first time you refinanced, or like for me, it was the first time I used my VA loan was in 2008. I had bought 3 other homes before that. So,
that's terrible. That's almost terrible. You bought 3 other homes, but you had never used your VA benefit until 2008.
Yep.
Wow.
That was one of the reasons, as I chose to come from a retail, clothing director, basically, into the finance side. I just remembered going through and going, wait a minute, I'm a disabled veteran. Why am I being steered away from using my VA loan? And it wasn't a credit situation. It was just the complexity of the loan perception for the brokers that I went through at that time. And so, yeah, in 2008, I just said, hey, I got to get this. I got my own certificate of eligibility and, and really, really pushed on the loan officer at the time, the company I actually worked for, and just said, hey, look, I'm using this benefit. And that's what brought us from South Dakota back to Arizona with my VA home loan.
Wow, that's an incredible story in itself. And you are correct, right? The experiences that we have makes us be able to serve the clients that we serve even better, right? Like you said, the relation of going through debt restructure, whether it's buying that first home, whether it's using their VA benefit for the first time, those experiences is what makes us different, right? We're not a machine. We're not just a digital process, right? There's so much more. So, LeRoy, you're in a very exciting time right now. It's wonderful that we are speaking during the time that you have now opened up Lotus Financial Network. So tell me, what were you feeling during that transition, right? So here you are, another milestone of your life that while this is all tying into your why, what fueled that? What were you looking to do with making that change?
That was one that was, we worked on retail for so long with my team, Bree and I, and I think it really just we had such a great experience at the company that we came into the mortgage broker side, and it was probably the best platform out there for um, those that weren't ready to take the jump. We weren't ready to. There's a lot of unknowns, right? Like, what do you do? How systems and things like that. And so the platform we were at, those guys were just so great about allowing us to run the business inside of their business. And then we just said, hey, you know what? We can do this. So let's just try it. Let's do it. What happens? And so that's the direction we took. And it was exciting. It was a hard process. And, you know, our vision is that how do we serve we're big with VA loans, right? So it's like 82% of our clientele.
Wow.
With that being our central focus, we really wanted to be super competitive in the market and transparency. So, and that was huge. And actually, Lotus, I wanted to name the company Enlightened Home Loans, but Bree Fletcher, my partner, she said, I don't know, man, we've gone through a lot of crap together. What about Lotus? And I was like, what?
I love Lotus. I mean, I'm picturing a lotus. I mean, is that where it came from?
Yeah. And so she said, when you think about the lotus flower and you think about it grows in the dirtiest water and it produces the most beautiful thing. And that was kind of she shared that with me and it really hit. And I just said, man, I really like that because over the 4 years we've been together, we've been through a lot of dirty water. And so, to come out and do our own thing, to be able to serve, it was just the perfect name. And so that's what we went with. But,
that is wonderful. So now, those hard-hitting questions, I love to have people share kind of a little piece of their experiences. So LeRoy, I want to ask you, tell us a time where you were helping a family or someone else, someone within your company, where there was just a sense of impact that you provided or you felt, one of those really special cases. Can you share one of those with the audience?
yeah, absolutely. Navy SEAL that I helped in 2012, actually, and that's I just talked to him this weekend, and we went through such a hard time on the refinance and during that time, and it was when we were smiling and dialing and making phone calls, and his entire family we've taken care of on the loan side. But what's really cool is that even just yesterday when we were talking, I think it was actually on Saturday when we were talking, as he's getting older, he's 60, I think he's like 68, right? But I mean, this guy's been through some crazy stuff, as a Navy SEAL. And so, as he shares his stories, he was just like, man, I got to tell you, like, had you not called me and came over to my house and we created this relationship, this is back in 2012, and we still talk. And he sings us praises. And of course, it's really a team. It's not just LeRoy. Like, I love to make connections with people and do those things, but just taking the time to listen to him on the phone and listen to his stories or the differences from 2012 to 2021 and what's gone on. And then seeing his family grow. And as he gets older, he's like, man, I love that you'll just hop on the phone with me for 20, 30 minutes and just listen to me, because sometimes people just don't like to listen to older veterans. And I was just like, oh. And I mean, that's a very impactful thing is the business he sends, that's great, but it's the phone call and taking the time to actually listen to his stories. And, as a war veteran, and it's pretty cool. I try to prod him for a little bit of some, really cool stories, but he says he can't talk about those. So.
Wow. But LeRoy, I mean, whether it's a Navy SEAL, whether it's, I interviewed Christina Harms, and she told a story about, a reverse mortgage family, an older couple. And these stories are so impactful. And these stories need to be shared with others in the industry, because sometimes we lose sight,
Yeah.
when we're overwhelmed, and we're trying to, it's the end of the month, and we're trying to get through all of these. And although, yes, we know their families, and yes, we know that we're helping, but sometimes we lose that little connection, or big connection. And at the end of the day, everyone just wants to be heard and seen and felt, to where they're the only family at that moment, right? Regardless of how many others that we're serving. So for you to take the time to bond that relationship, to listen and to connect, most important, you'll be that trusted advisor for his family forever, forever. It's, hey, somebody's buying a house, somebody needs a refi, they call LeRoy, because there isn't anyone else to call. And that's what makes you special. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's a beautiful thing. All right. Now, one final question. This is like the end of the game here, LeRoy. All right. What's the legacy? What do you want to be known for?
I would. Dang, these get deep. I told you this is more like a Dr. Phil show. Yeah, I think.
Listen, we cover the other side of the industry, right? This is my fun, that I get to hear that, mortgages are not just about DTIs and LTVs.
No.
So we make a difference in the world. We make a difference in other people's lives, and the lives of our own too, and our families. Everything tied to the mortgage industry is special. And I love spotlighting people like you that are making that difference in the world. So what do you want to be known for?
I think, and as we like leave the earth or whatever we do, or those things, I think the biggest thing is knowing that, just not to be known for never judging anyone for anything that they have. And especially it goes back to my kids. So to me, it's how they see their dad, right? So I have to maintain composure here.
It's very beautiful what you're saying. Keep going.
So I think for them is that to know to go through life and know how to ask for help, and know how to forgive themselves, I think. And that's kind of really what I try to teach them and want them to know, because I think sometimes what we do is we go through life, we make these mistakes in our lives, and then we hold ourselves in purgatory for that decision, or the divorce that happened, or the relationship that didn't work out, or the mistake we made on a financial, situation in our life, or whatever it is. And I think that self-forgiveness, if I can pass that on to them, so they know it's good to just pick yourself back up and not talk to yourself in such a way that's going to bring you down. That's what I would want.
I think that is great advice for everyone out there. We have to give ourselves some grace, because none of us have the playbook for how to do everything perfectly in life. The way that we learn is by trying things and testing things, and sometimes we'll be right, sometimes we won't. But as long as at the end of the day, our heart is in the right place and we're doing it for the right reasons, forgive yourself, give yourself some grace, be kind to yourself and others, and it'll all be okay. LeRoy, you are amazing. I wish you the utmost success in everything, professional, personal. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep helping those veterans. You are making a difference in this world. And thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of What's Your Why Wednesday. And be sure to tune in next Wednesday. Have a great day, everyone.